When Quinn had arrived back in his dorm room, he was surprised to see that neither Vorden or Peter seemed to be there. "It's nearly curfew time. I wonder what they're doing out so late." It was a shame because Quinn was hoping to either ask Peter or Vorden what exactly happened between them and Layla, but with it getting late and Quinn low on energy, he decided to get some sleep ahead of the others. And as soon as his body had hit the bed, he was out in an instant. He didn't even change his clothes, and he just laid there on top of it like an old drunk man. A few moments later, and Peter was the first to arrive back in the dorm room. He slowly entered the room and didn't even acknowledge the fact that Quinn had returned. He walked slowly over to his bed and placed the quilt over his head, slightly shaking. Then, soon after, Vorden had arrived. He could see a bulge wrapped underneath the sheets on Peter's bed. Then Vorden noticed that Quinn was sleeping. As Vorden looked at Quinn's peaceful face, he smiled. "Looks like you were fine," Vorden whispered to himself. "I'm sorry." Each one of them was dealing with their own problems, yet not one of them knew of the others. With a lot on their mind and no one to share it with, they had to sleep with their demons that night. As Quinn woke up, he was greeted with his usual morning message. "Daily quest complete. Avoid direct sunlight for 8 hours. 135 of 400 EXP. Quinn was satisfied with his growth in strength, however. He couldn't say the same about his leveling speed. He was currently only level 3 and had 2 skills he could use. Unlike other abilities where they gave you the control of something, Quinn's skills were a one-action type thing. If Quinn wanted to be on an even playing field with the higher-level ability users, then Quinn would need more skills. After fighting with Loop yesterday, Quinn realized he needed a few things. The first was he needed to get better at fighting. Although his skills had been fine with defeating low levels so far, he couldn't say the same when it came to opponents who knew how to fight. It was only because of Quinn's blood bank yesterday that he was able to win the fight and fight recklessly. This meant he needed to learn some hand-to-hand combat skills. The second thing was he couldn't go out fighting students every day. Yesterday was a close call, and he still didn't know if Loop knew it was him or not who attacked. If he wanted to keep this thing a secret, he would have to limit his activity at night, or get strong enough so he didn't have to rely on the gauntlets, which were a dead giveaway. That left him with a new goal. When checking out the system, Quinn remembered that there was a shop function that would only open at level 10. This was now Quinn's new target. He had no idea what the shop would detail, but so far the system hadn't let him down. When Vorden had woken up, he acted like his usual self, as he always had done, in front of Quinn. "Hey, did you get a good sleep?" Vorden asked. "When I came in yesterday, you were completely knocked out." "Yeah, I was pretty worn out yesterday after combat classes." "I heard you got in an accident. Is everything okay?" Vorden asked. "As you can see, I've made a complete recovery. You don't need to worry about me." "Hey, seriously though, Quinn, if you're getting bullied or hurt, just tell me. I know we said not to help each other out so the second-year students wouldn't get involved, but I can handle them, don't worry." Quinn smiled back at Vorden. He couldn't understand what Layla was so worried about. The Vorden in front of him was now the Vorden Quinn grew to like. Sure, he seemed to have his problems and lash out at times, but who didn't? Not wanting to ruin the nice atmosphere between the two of them, Quinn decided that he would ask Peter, once the two of them were alone, what happened. Besides, if he asked Vorden, there was a chance he would get a one-sided view of the events. As Peter woke up, Vorden greeted him too, but Peter only said very few words back. Now, even Peter was acting strangely, Quinn thought. "Is everything okay, Peter?" Quinn asked. "Huh? Yeah, I'm fine," Peter replied as he got dressed into a new uniform, a little bit spaced out. The three of them then started to head to the canteen, and as they were walking through the hallways, Quinn had spotted someone who he didn't want to see first thing in the morning. It was Loop. But as the two of them locked eyes, Loop instantly started to break out into a sweat, and his hands were shaking uncontrollably. When the two walked by each other, Loop stopped and called out to Quinn. "Hey, is it okay to talk to you in private?" Loop asked. Quinn immediately started to look around to see if there were any of Loop's friends nearby. If Loop was calling out to him, it was most likely because he had figured out that Quinn was the one who had attacked him and Fei. Quinn had put this into his calculations that they might group up to attack him, but he didn't think something would happen so soon. However, when he looked around, there was no sight of Brandon or even Fei nearby. With multiple students surrounding them, Quinn felt like it was unlikely that Loop would try anything here, and even if he did, he could at least defend himself without revealing his skills. "Hey, is everything okay?" Vorden said in a stern voice, not breaking eye contact with Loop. "Yeah, it's fine, Vorden. You two go ahead. I'll catch up with you in a bit." As Vorden and Peter walked away, Vorden couldn't help himself. He kept staring back at where Quinn was. The two of them then walked off to a nearby classroom just down the hallway to the canteen. It was breakfast time, so classes hadn't started yet, and the classrooms were empty. Of course, Quinn made sure to stay by the door just in case Loop started to attack. That way, he could run out into the hall where the rest of the students were. Loop stood there nervous and fidgeting. It seemed like he was struggling to get his words out until he finally spoke. "I'm sorry about yesterday," Loop said as he bowed. "I know we hurt you in training and you probably coming back at us for revenge, but please forgive me." Quinn was speechless. This was unexpected, and he didn't have a clue what was going on. "I promise I won't tell anyone about your secret. Please, whatever you do, just let me live. I won't bother you again, and no one will ever know anything happened." Although Quinn had his suspicions that this was all an act, it seemed like Loop was genuine. Either that, or he was the best actor in the world. But what Quinn didn't understand was what on earth had happened to get Loop to act like this. "Thanks for keeping my secret. Besides, I don't really have a grudge against you. Although your friends were the one to act on me, you didn't do anything. You were just trying to help your friends," Quinn said. Thank you for sparing me," Loop said. "I promise if you need anything, I will help you. I just don't want what happened to Brandon happening to me." "Brandon?" Quinn said, confused. "What happened to Brandon?" At first, Loop was confused by the words that had come out of Quinn's mouth. There were two possible reasons he could be acting like this. Either Quinn was just pretending not to know, or when Brandon entered the hospital, he was still alive at the time. Meaning, Quinn thought Brandon was still alive after attacking him. "Look, I promise I'll keep your secret. I know you attacked Fei because of what happened at the weapons hall. It had to be you. Who else would attack him and have gauntlets like you? So you decided to go after Brandon next after taking down me," Loop explained. "Look, I just want to continue living in school as normal. I don't want any drama. I don't know why you're hiding behind that fake power level of yours, but please, I just don't want to get involved, and I'll stay out of your way." Quinn was trying his best to process the information he had just been told. Right now, a student had died. To be honest, he wasn't really sure what the process or punishment was for a student's death, and at the same time, he didn't want to find out. If the other students were to learn about the attacks on Fei and Brandon, they would naturally assume it might have been Quinn wanting payback. However, the one thing that would make them doubt that was the fact that he was only a level 1 student. Right now, only Loop knew his secret, so it was no wonder Loop was afraid of him. With all this information, for now, Quinn felt it was best to play along. "You don't have to worry," said Quinn. "Like you said, you were only protecting your friend, and you didn't actually do anything to hurt me during the combat class. As long as you stay out of my way, I will stay out of yours." "Thank you," Loop said as he bowed down and left the room. After Loop had left, there was a thought lingering on Quinn's mind. Just who did kill Brandon? Was there anyone in the school who had a grudge against him? They had only been at the school a few days, and the school purposely made sure no one knew each other before sending them here. It was hard for Quinn to come up with a suspect. All he knew about Brandon was what had happened at the combat classes. If a petty person like him was able to plan an attack like that, then perhaps he had made many enemies already. After finishing his talk, Quinn headed to the canteen to catch up with his other two roommates. But when he entered the canteen, instead of seeing Vorden and Peter sitting together like usual, Vorden was sitting on his own, and there was no sign of Peter. Quinn quickly grabbed his food and decided to sit next to Vorden. "Hey, aren't you worried about the second years coming to attack you?" Vorden said. "From the looks of it, people will continue to bother us anyway, so we might as well live how we want," Quinn replied. "Hey, so where's Peter? Didn't you two come here together?" "You're looking in the wrong places," Vorden said as he pointed in a different section of the canteen. The two of them were sat in the low-level section, where the level 1 and 2s would usually sit. This was where Peter would usually come to join them as well. But the direction Vorden had pointed in was the higher-level tables, the level 4 and 5 tables, and sitting next to them was Peter. "What is he doing over there? Are they targeting him?" Quinn asked. Who knows? When Peter entered the canteen, he looked at me and said, "I'm going to hang out with some new friends I made the other day." I asked him if he needed help, and he said not to worry. As the two watched Peter hang out with the others, though, it seemed like he was getting on with them well. He wasn't being asked to grab food or carry their things like the other lower power levels in other groups. Well, maybe we should just keep an eye on them for now. It doesn't look like he's in trouble, and we can always ask him about it later. Just then, though, Quinn and Vorden were busy eating their food at their table. Another tray of food was slammed down. "I hope you two don't mind, but I've come to join you," Layla said as she sat down. As soon as Layla sat at her seat, she couldn't stop staring at Vorden, and the same was true for him. In the middle of the two was Quinn. He could feel the heat and tension in the air with both of them, and he didn't have a clue what happened. "So I see that hole in your leg healed up nicely," Layla said. Vorden's face started to twitch slightly. What are you talking about? Sorry, my name's Vorden. I don't believe we have met," Vorden said, pulling out his hand for a shake. "You are crazy if you think I'm just going to shake your hand, and that you're just going to pretend nothing happened, are you?" Layla then turned to Quinn. "Quinn, can you not see this guy is crazy yet?" "Don't call me crazy," Vorden said slowly, saying each word. Hey, I think you both need to calm down," said Quinn, feeling like any second now the two were going to clash in the canteen. "I don't even know what happened between the two of you. Please explain." "This crazy boy attacked me when I went to your room last night. Look," Layla said, as she pulled down her uniform slightly to reveal the red marks on her neck. "I kept telling you, Quinn, he's dangerous. Leave him." Vorden was visibly shaking at this point, but it was hard to tell if it was with anger or something else. "I said, don't call me crazy." And again, just like last time, Vorden slowly said each word, one by one.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Blockbuster YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.